is up? That's Texan here, and yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are in a GTR, and I still can't believe it, but yeah, it's happening, and I'm in it, and it's all smiles for me, even though I haven't really gotten on it yet. Just the sheer knowledge that there's a 3.8 liter V6 under the hood of this car that makes 545 horsepower and 463 pound-feet of torque is, well, kind of mind-blowing, even though in the great scheme of things, Hellcat, it's not really that much power, but this one puts it to the ground via a four-wheel drive system, and it does 0 to 60 in a 3-second range, and some of them do it even less. So there's not many cars out there that can match that unless you're spending about twice as much. And another thing that I immediately already noticed is that these brakes on this car are absolutely phenomenal. Let's see what cornering does. And that is not even full throttle, guys. That's just insane. And also another thing, right now I'm in comfort mode. Already feels very planted, and I think this would be the default mode that I would be driving it on if I owned it myself, because it's not really that harsh, and I like that a lot. Another thing that this car does have is launch mode, and you have to be in R for that. So let's go ahead and do that. Now the great weight is on that green light to see when it turns, because you can put the pedal to the ground for 3 seconds, and after that it disengages the system. So you have to time it right. And I'm getting kind of giddy. Ended up right back here. I did not have my head against the headrest. I'm so happy that I still have some neck muscles, because this is absolutely nuts. Oh man, you know, people that don't get this car, the only reason why you don't get this car is because you have not experienced this yet. This is nuts. Look at this, goosebumps, man. Jeez. Oh man, let me just try to calm down here. It's going to be a very hard thing to do. Oh, that is such a rush. Now with that understanding, you know, I know exactly why people get this car and why it is just that good. I have never ever been in a car that could do something like that ever in my life. And the fact that it actually came to market in the United States as the 2009 model for the $70,000 range is just absolutely mind-boggling to me. What a deal. Now, obviously, right now, they are over $100,000. This one was slightly over $100,000 MSRP. So you could argue that the deal is no longer there, but hold up 1 second. This car does 0 to 60 in 3 seconds or less. This car puts you in your seat. If you have back problems, you will have more back problems after you've done that launch. You cannot get that type of performance anywhere else unless you spend 2 to 3 times as much money. And there's another thing with this car. This car advertises that it has a lot of power, but then again, it also doesn't advertise it. It kind of blends in, and I personally like that. The way you get in the car is also not supercar-like at all. You just step into it. You do that with the 4C that I did, which is pretty much as supercar as I have driven. You have to fold yourself into it, and that is just not daily driver status for me. This, I can get in this all day, no problem whatsoever. Just like I said previously, you can't have any back problems if you expect to use that launch control, because it is violent. A lot of the exterior features that you see actually also have purpose. When you look at the front, you see this weird little thing on the front fascia, and there's a reason for that. It's because it keeps the air flowing the way it needs to go, and there's also a bunch of exit vents that make sure that the car has enough downforce. Now, we've already done the race launch. Now I really wonder what this car does when it's just normal, you put your foot to the floor without doing the launch control. Now that was a whole lot less violent. It is definitely 100% slower than doing the launch control. And I think the only way you're gonna get close to that 3 second or sub 3 seconds is to use the launch control. One thing I actually did notice is that the exhaust is not too loud at all from factory. I guess that's the reason why a lot of people actually change the exhaust over. And when it comes down to the seats, they are perfect. They hug you nice and tight, and that is exactly what you want. And I think the reason why this car is so good is that it has that four-wheel drive system, and it actually defaults the rear wheels, which also kind of explains to me why the tire sizes are the way that they are. In the fronts it's 255, in the back it's 285, so it's staggered, which is kind of uncommon for a car that has four-wheel drive. There's another thing that I actually like about this car. There's a couple of different modes on the center screen, but the owner actually showed me one that you should always have on, and that is coolant temperature, engine oil temperature, engine oil pressure, and the transmission oil temperature and the transmission oil pressure. If anything goes wrong, you will see that right away. This car is just so full of electronics. I don't think a human could do the same thing, and that immediately lands me on the following topic. You cannot get this car in a manual transmission. It's only this 6-speed robotic manual, the dual clutch transmission, which shifts absolutely mind-numbingly fast. And that's the reason why it has the numbers that it does. That's the reason why it punches so far above its weight. And that's also the reason why you can drive it like a normal person without any kind of instruction at all and be completely fine and also comfortable driving it. I mean, this is not a car that doesn't have a lot of horsepower. This car moves, and it moves quick. And even if someone with a big, expensive car is standing next to you, if they're not on the ball, you're still going to beat them to 60, which is pretty much where all the races inside city limits and slightly above go to. Some of them go way above and beyond, obviously, but that's always on the tollways. And even then, this car has a top end of well over 180 miles an hour, so it's not lacking in that department either. Setting off normally, it's not a big deal at all. You can drive this any way you want to. You can put your foot in it or not. Now, it does have the paddle shifters on the steering wheel, and the steering is also very, very nice. Now, let's see. 5th, 4th, 3rd. Why? Now, let's see. I'm in manual mode, see if it actually shifts if I don't do it myself. It's still in 4th. Doesn't have the torque to go. Well, color me impressed. Obviously, I'm not putting my foot in it because it's a turbocharged car, but it's just completely fine the way it is. And the shift is just near instantaneous. As soon as you touch that pedal, there you go, it's in gear. So right now I'm doing 60 miles an hour and I'm tagging just over 2 grand, which is not too bad at all. And another thing that I noticed about this car is the Speedo. Even though I'm doing 60 miles an hour right now, it looks like, well, I'm not even moving in my Mustang, and it feels like 10. Because that dial doesn't even start to move above horizontal until you hit 120 plus, and that's... Why do you do that? It's like you're going slow, man. You got to drive faster than that. So now I'm slowing down. I'm in manual, and it downshifts for you. So now I'm doing just over 30, and it's in 5th. Amazing. Well, of course, it's not the right place to be in. So here, 2nd gear.
all that was with the air conditioner on, by the way.
Nice. Hey, let's turn the AC off and let's see what the launch control does without the AC. You know what? That was kind of hard, turning my head at the same time to look where I'm going. Look at that, a Tesla. He was trying to follow. I don't think he made it. And this car just puts a smile on your face. You cannot drive this car without going, I'm driving a car that goes like stink. And I can drive it every day if I want to. And another thing, I can go into a Nissan dealership and get it serviced. A Nissan dealership. I mean, oh god, 350Z, 370Z, cars like that. And then you have the GTR. It makes no sense, but yet it does, and it just moves like crazy, and it quarters so well. The steering is so nice. It is so violent too. You know, I know now why, 100%. Why you see so many people buy these cars, why so many automotive YouTubers have one of these or have owned one of these. It's because it is just that good. You cannot fault this car at all. It's an underdog, but it performs like a freaking supercar. You cannot get a better value anywhere else. Oh, really? This is what I'm talking about. It's just so much fun. Oh man, it's a permanent smile on your face. Anyway, if you want to get this kind of performance in any other car from Japan, you have to go into a Honda NSX, and that car is like $50,000-$60,000 more. You cannot fault this car at all. And the aftermarket on these is absolutely insane. There are plenty of cars that are north of 1,000 wheel horsepower, all-wheel horsepower, and there's probably a couple around that have over 2,000. This has so much aftermarket support that whatever you can dream up, you can do. No problem. And another thing that this car has, you can take 4 people with you, and the trunk is actually pretty darn good size. Now, of course, you have to lift up to get into it. That is kind of a downside, but as mentioned before in the review, if you have back issues, you should probably not buy this car. Now, when we talk about the interior of the car, a lot of people I've heard complain it's not $100,000 worth quality. Now, you know what? The reason why is because the money is spent where it's counted. Under the hood, drivetrain, it's just that good. You don't have any issues whatsoever when it comes down to the amount of power it puts down and how it puts it down. You're completely confident with it. There's no problem whatsoever. I love it. And the interior, side note, 100%. I don't care about the interior whatsoever. This is the way it's supposed to be. I'm just completely happy in this comfort mode, and I'm happy to just to have the opportunity to drive a car like this. Shane, thank you so much. This is practically a dream for every automotive YouTuber to be able to drive one of these cars, and I can cross it off my list, and I'm all smiles for it. Now, the final conclusion, would the Dutch Texan add this to his stable? Well, after I satisfy my need for old school American muscle and the still being hung up on this 80s supercar, which isn't a supercar at all, yes, this would be the 3rd car in my stable, 100%. Actually, it would be the 4th because I would still have my Mustang. I'm never getting rid of that. And on that note, I hope you enjoyed this review. I know I had the time of my life in this car. I get it. You should get it too. And if you have the chance to ever drive one of these cars, take it and be amazed. On that note, I hope you enjoyed it. I had a blast, and I'll see you next time.